Mm.
This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're gonna be typing one for our new member. He's been hitting the group pretty hard. Dre, he recommended Alan Watts, guys. Okay, so he has his typing session this Friday with us. So we're gonna be figuring out his actual real personality type, so we can get him that verified role. So everybody in the community can know that he's most likely a fucking ENTP. But guys, we use Linda Berens Interaction Styles and Temperament combined with cognitive functions. We have a breakdown of all of these on the channel. Just go to how to find anyone's personality type. We have the cognitive functions broken down. We have a master list cognitive function as well. If you want more than that, you need to join our Discord, and I think we are going to be the biggest MBTI and most accurate MBTI group in the future. And if you want more than that, like to be able to type your friends, loved ones, and all that, and speed up that whole cycle. You need to join our Demigod Dojo where we do have everything broken down one by one, from the easiest things to read to the more difficult things to read. And you get a belt too, so you can show off that you're smarter than other people. So it's pretty cool. Um, Anything you guys want to say about Alan Watts before we get into this, Czar PC?
He was a British and American writer, and he was a speaker and a spiritual guru and philosophical entertainer, as they call him on Wikipedia. And most importantly, a complete pseudo intellectual that tried to harp on just try to LARP on like certain themes, and yeah, and just used a bunch of vague words and just tried to sound holier than thou.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. Like I said, I don't really know too much about the guy. So, Dre, this is totally on you, man. Maybe this is a reflection of you. I don't fucking know. We're gonna find out today. PC, anything you want to say?
I don't know who this is,
All right.
so yeah, you're getting a completely unbiased
Blind.
opinion here. So
Blind, baby. Blind. That's what we like. All right.
mm.
All right. So we got to go look at what the dummy base has for Alan Watts. The dummy base has him as an ENFP for W5, baby. They think he's all in the emotions, baby. Um, yeah, with a 624 votes, so quite a bit, and then they got INFJ behind that. So guys, we'll go ahead and check the board. ENFPs.
So completely another situation where they've got two different types that don't even share the same functions.
Well, at least I think he's an NF. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Abstract interest.
uh, mm,
Maybe they think
yeah.
that's so. But ENFP guys are informing, they're initiating, their progression or journey focus. They're
Hmm.
affiliative, their motive, and like we say with the NFs, it's more like a psychological motive, right? Very keen on that. But if they're an ENFP, man, I swear to God, boy, they know how to make it seem like it's a good thing, but behind of it, they're benefiting like a motherfucker. I'm just gonna let you know that off rip. I have some ENFP friends, and I swear to God, whoo! I just told Christian that shit one day, and I was like, bro, you ain't never know because if I see too many patterns too many times, I'm calling this shit out. But Christian fucking never saw it, man, and we talk about it in our ENFP video breakdown. My friend Joseph,
Yeah.
he's still a good friend of mine. He will hit me up whenever he wants some stock advice. Mercer, man, what stocks you buying? Oh man, what investments you buying? Like motherfucker, he always gonna hit me up when he needs something. Um, the
Yeah,
abstract.
it's very EFP. Either one, man, you're gonna get the same shit.
Hey, they know what you got,
Yeah.
bro. I'm telling you, any knows what you got, bro. And they
Mm.
know who's smart. I don't give a fuck. No one says. TEFI and SINE, guys. So SI is gonna be more about self-referencing. SE is gonna be more about other referencing. TE is going to be more about empirical data. TI is going to be about their own understanding. It makes sense to me type thing. FI is what you value and staying consistent to yourself. FE is about knowing how others feel and putting others before yourself. That whole thing, being able to read the room, as they would say. So yeah, that's just a quick rundown of the card. Oh, I didn't hit NI and NE. NE is about possibilities, what could be. NI is about what will be, right? Usually envisioning and visualizing for yourself. So PC's go ahead and showed y'all what ENFP is, but all right, let's get into it. All right, I pulled up some random interview because Dre, swear to God, bro, you got me some guy from like 1920s, bro, should kick your ass.
When I was in Europe some months ago, I met a very remarkable German scholar who had studied Buddhism in Japan for a number of years and was reflecting on similarities between things that people experience as a result of their study of Buddhism and things that people experience in the course of their lives in the Western world. And he made a very interesting remark to me about experiences that had happened to various people during the calamities of the war. He said that there were three particular
Get to the fucking point, bro. Get to the fucking point. This is so much build up, winding you up. Gotta wind you up.
kind of instances which he had come across, where people had found themselves in desperate situations, and as a result of thoroughly accepting these situations, they had had an experience of the profound joy, and you might almost say meaningfulness of life, that corresponds very closely indeed to the kind of experience that in Buddhism is called awakening or enlightenment, satori in Zen language, or liberation in Hinduism, or what we might sometimes call in the West mystical experience, the sensation of the individual.
Would you say that's any there? He kind of walks you through
Yeah,
different
that
ones
would
there.
probably be any.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like verbal agility as well.
Yeah,
Kind of like play off words very well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Finding himself one with God or with the ultimate reality behind the universe. And my friend then enumerated these three instances. He said there were the cases where a person heard a bomb coming at them, and they heard the shriek of the bomb descending, and they were quite sure that this was their last moment. This was the end. They accepted it completely. They gave in to their own obliteration. But the bomb turned out to be a dud, or it missed and went somewhere else, and they survived. The second kind of instance was where people were prisoners of war or shut up in concentration camps
Bro,
and had come to the point of
bro,
believing
what's up with all this build up, bro?
that they would never, never, never be released. They were in a state of complete despair. But again, they saw there was nothing to do except give into it, accept it completely, to the point you might almost say of affirming it.
You know what kind of flow he reminds me of? And I'm gonna be honest, he kind of reminds me of a mixture between Bruce Lee and Malcolm X. Like that's what kind of energy I'm getting with this goddamn talking.
And the same thing happened. And then the third instance he mentioned was when the disorganization and chaos of war had so uprooted people, had so destroyed everything that they'd built up for themselves by way of careers,
I'm
professions,
serious. He does
family, and
sound
everything
like
like that,
Malcolm X.
that they got the sensation that life in this world is totally meaningless. Like Shakespeare's phrase, a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And again, when they committed themselves to this and thoroughly accepted the idea that life was absolutely meaningless, there came this same extraordinary transformation of experience, this sense of joy, and in some strange and different way, a sense of the whole thing really having meaning. Now, I think that story is very interesting because we in the Western world are so concerned that our lives should be meaningful, that they should make sense. And indeed, one of the frequent definitions of mental
Yeah,
health that you hear is that mental
TI definition, right?
yep.
Isn't defining.
health
Eh,
depends on one's having
You
a
gonna say Zara?
yeah, and the whole thing about it making sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting fucking like same speech pattern as fucking Malcolm X, bro. I'm getting that.
purpose in life
Just change it to
and
violence.
finding that life is meaningful.
Let's change it to violence.
And this is fairly easy to preserve, provided one's life is not disrupted by great catastrophes like war. It's fairly easy to preserve on a small scale. That is to say, we find it fairly easy to make our lives meaningful and purposeful in relation to our immediate community or in relation to our work, where we can do something that is a true vocation for us, or where in the community we can do things that are helpful to other people. But it's increasingly difficult to get this sense of the fundamental meaningfulness of things
FE?
in a universe as it is now seen by contemporary science.
I'm gonna say abstract for sure.
I just searched up who he reminds me of. His face reminds me of Ben Mendelsohn.
Who the
This
fuck
is
is
a
that?
Australian actor who's in.
You just
I
be
have a
pulling
look.
up names out your ass, man.
Well, he plays in
Ben,
one of
Ben
the
what?
Star Wars Ben Mendelsohn, surname Mendelsohn. He's
Oh
in Star
shit.
Wars and a whole bunch of shit.
Oh shit. I kind of see it a little bit. Yeah. Holy fuck, it is.
I was just like, holy shit, man, this dude looks like the spitting image almost.
Oh man. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Surprised. I'm very, very surprised there. Yeah.
In other words, when you enlarge the framework, it's more and more difficult to
He
see
even
the
talks the same.
You enlarge the framework, that's systematic.
meaning of things. Because while we can see the significance of our lives over a few years, maybe 100 years, maybe 200, when we look at the thing in vast
That's abstract.
perspectives,
Yeah.
when we see the human race,
Any
Abstract.
vast perspectives.
Yeah. I mean, this is going.
This is all abstract.
This is going down right to where I pinpointed, right? Malcolm X. Yeah, Bruce Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Going right down. That's why he called him a pseudo intellectual, because there's a lot of fucking ENTPs that are pseudo intellectuals. They can say a lot, but
Yeah.
it means absolutely fucking nothing.
as such a tiny little sort of bacillus living on an obscure piece of dust in a remote corner of the universe.
Abstract, got to make it grander, larger than life, selling a dream. Only if you buy into this, which is basically impossible. You know, what could be, not what will be. You know, that's the biggest thing I have with ENTPs, because I smack
Mm-hmm.
around like this. That's not what will happen. You know, that's not what will happen. You know, but what if we did this? Like, what if we did this and then we can learn and use all of our cognitive functions? And I'm like, bro, that's very unlikely. What will happen, bro? What will happen?
Yeah.
But they don't get that. You know, that's NI versus NE. What will happen? What could happen? Right?
Again,
When we
it's
see this,
about like the point about him being a pseudo intellectual. It's more the fact that he posits a bunch of claims without any evidence, right? So there isn't what?
TI, they ain't checking for TE evidence, bro.
Yeah, but he postulates a lot of claims without any evidence, so you can't regard him as a true intellectual.
Hmm. This was always just saying for anybody that doesn't understand. Basically, he doesn't have any empirical data to back up his claims. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
enormous, almost cosmic nonsense of galaxies
Like
of
you.
radioactive
See what I
material.
said, man, bro? They just know how to play on language, and if you listen to them, you are wild. That's why Christian used to be so mad when we were kids, and like we would debate my older brother because like people would think he won, but he really didn't say anything. He just like
Yeah.
pulled in a whole bunch of shit and talked more than you.
Yeah.
Going around and around for colossal spans of time for no apparent purpose at all. In that perspective, it's particularly difficult for us
Any
Perspectives.
to believe that life is fundamentally meaningful. And this is a real difficulty because it's so hard to see something that has real and abiding meaning against a background or as part of a whole system which seems to be basically nonsensical.
that
System.
was
But the
TE critic.
interesting thing is
Yeah.
OST.
that when we use these words, meaningless or purposeless, of the universe.
All right, let's go ahead
They
and
have
TI,
let's go ahead
TI.
and let's go ahead and start
When we
limiting
use
them.
these words, TI,
So he already down the ENTP. What the fuck, bro?
he is.
Well,
What are you
well,
doing, bro? Slow down, slow down,
dude,
slow down.
when you get TE critic, we were only down to the NTPs and the NFPs,
Slow
and then
down,
we're starting
man.
getting like TE critic, bro. It's like it's a wrap, dude. It's a fucking wrap.
Like, slow down. So, guys, for the people at home, what we
Well,
have
I'll go
abundance.
back a bit.
What we have abundance of with this guy is abstractions. So Peachy's gonna walk you through what happens when someone's abstract. That kills all the concrete types. That's the
Yep,
SPs and the SJs. You're dead, okay?
half the
Um,
board's gone.
right? And then this guy's also informing. That's why I said it takes so long for this guy to get to his message, right? He's not clear and like pushing it through like you see somebody like myself do, right? So that kills all of the direct types, right? So that leads us down to the NPs, right? And they all are SINE, but this guy is spitting TI, right? So if he's spitting TI, that means his own understanding. That's what people get wrong about TI versus TE, right? And they say like, oh, well, these ENTPs are not that smart. At the end of the day, they're using their own framework. They're not using your framework. They're not using that book's framework. They're using their own fucking framework, right? And if they're using their own framework to draw from information, that's introverted thinking, not extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking is about the books, the knowledge, the empirical data, like Zara said. Oh, they don't really have the TE. ENTPs don't want to hear that shit, bro. Right? If they think it's true, they think it's true. So we're down to NTP, guys. All right.
have a bad feeling for us. They are sort of cuss words. They're bad words to use about life. But it's very different with people in the Far East, with certain schools of thought in China and Japan, where the word purposeless, the word meaningless, does not have a
This
negative
is all
connotation
FI
at
stuff.
all, but rather the contrary, something very joyous and positive. There's an old Chinese philosophical text that uses the expression, if purpose can be used to achieve purposelessness, then the thing has been grasped. The thing meaning the whole point of life. So then to understand this point of view in Chinese and Japanese thought,
TI.
I think we should investigate, first of all, a little more clearly, just what we do mean by purpose and mean.
TI.
Purpose is, I think, a word generally used by us, whereby events are ordained to a future result. For example, if I do something like this, just doing that alone doesn't appear to have very much purpose. But if after I have done that, in the future, I do this, then it appears that what I did in such a chaotic way in the first has purpose. So purpose is
Progression.
acts acquiring a meaning in terms of a future to which they are leading. We say, I have a purpose when I am going down to the store in order to buy groceries. If I'm going down to the town for no reason at all, then you might say my action
I
is purpose.
actually like what he's saying here, because that
Mm-hmm.
ties into introverted intuition. You will see people that are strong in NI, they always have a constant purpose. They kind of know what they've been put on this planet to do a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you see somebody who has NI inferior, they're constantly searching for their purpose, or even ENTPs, they're constantly searching for their purpose because um, it's in the really bad spots that have something in the inferior or the opposing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of lead elude you quite a bit. So you'll notice that. dynamic and why it's important to what he said there, because he clearly defined that so well that I'm going to steal that. It's called TE here, baby. I'm gonna steal your shit, bitch.
Purposeless. But if I'm going to buy groceries, then it has a purpose. Now, what about meaning? The idea of meaning is very close to that of purpose. And this may be a good illustration of it. Here is the word cross. And the word cross is a sound. It's just a noise. But that noise has meaning for us because we know that it relates to this. That is a cross. But the noise cross is not this figure. But cross has meaning because it represents or stands for that actual concrete figure. And so, at any rate, one sense of meaning, which we might call here the first sense of meaning, is the function of a sign, a noise or a symbol which points to something other than itself. For example, if we didn't take this as a cross, but took it as a plus sign, then it would in its turn become another sign having meaning, and its meaning would be the process of adding. Now, of course, if life has to be meaningful in these two senses, in the sense of purpose already demonstrated in the sense of this, at least this first sense of meaning, then it means that events, people, things are only meaningful or purposeful insofar as they lead to something else or insofar as they represent something else. And in a way, this makes people and things rather like symbols and words which always refer to something beyond themselves and don't mean anything in themselves. There's also another sense of meaning.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. He's cooking. I'm bought in. He's cooking. He's cooking with this shit. That's what they do. See, and that's another thing between the INTP, ENTP, right? If ENTP was giving this lecture, we'd all be asleep. No, not INTP. If INTP was giving this lecture, we'd all might be asleep here. But when the ENTP does it, they got all this extra shit. They drawing, they moving, they playing on words. Like they are getting you in, and that's a very good thing to notice. Like I know everyone's had a professor when they started talking, everybody started losing consciousness. Okay, so
Yeah, but
just
you can. It's kind of funny to see how informing some people are, because if you'd given me the same thing and told me to explain it, I probably could have done it in 30 seconds.
yeah. But
But
He's
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 taken
creating
10
buy-in.
minutes. Yeah, yeah,
He's creating
exactly.
buy-in
yeah,
with for people
yeah.
to digest it. That's what informing language is doing.
Well,
It's
Mm.
I think the thing about ENTPs and like how they get people, a lot of times is they get you with something that makes sense, right? Then you start thinking, oh, this motherfucker's so smart, right? And then afterwards, none of the shit, some of the times the shit don't make sense afterwards, right?
Yeah,
But you have been
it's not.
bought in onto the first principle, and because you bought into the first principle, you're not looking for, oh, he was right the first time, oh, he's right the second time, and now you stop looking for him to be wrong. You're just absorbing the information. So that's a thing that you want to look out for.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that is the sense of order. We would look at this object, for example, and say, well, that's a kind of a senseless shape. That doesn't mean very much. It's just a chaotic blob. But if we introduce order into it by making that object symmetrical, we will immediately recognize the phenomenon of pattern, because an element of recognition comes into it. In other words, we recognize the repetition of the shape in reverse. And this element of recognition makes it meaningful, patterned, orderly in this particular way. And so, one of the dominant ways in which a person can say that life has meaning is then that it has order. But on the other hand, If the orderliness of life is taken too far, we then move over into another kind of meaninglessness, which we call monotony. In other words, if every day is the same as the day before it, if we find ourselves involved in a routine where we're doing exactly the same job day after day after day after day, we find that through an excess of order, our life begins to lose vitality. And so it seems that we need a
It's like
kind
the
of
opposite of NE.
disorder in order to give life to order. We need a kind of nonsense
It's like we
in
need
order
NE, man.
to make things really meaningful.
We need
We need chaos
perpetual novelty.
as an essential element of life. Now, in the Western world,
But I think I wonder if he
Hello,
was
hero.
working us up.
Hello, hero.
Hey, I wonder if he was working us up because he started with order. And I'm like, man, he's talking about order, man. I'm like, damn, maybe he's a control type, maybe. And then, like, I'm getting you, bitch. I got you. Trap, motherfucker, trap.
we tend on the whole to emphasize order. We are always pushing things to make sense. We are always trying to
Yeah.
control the world and make it obey us, and therefore make it ordered. And after all, science is primarily the study of the regularities in nature,
My
study of
definition.
natural order.
Yeah.
But to a considerable extent, in Far Eastern thought, especially in Taoist and Buddhist thought, the emphasis goes the other way. There is an emphasis not so much on the beauty of order as the beauty of a certain kind of disorder or nonsense. You see, look at this that I drew just before I started to make the face. This chaos of lines up here is so like life in certain aspects. So much of life is this sort of thing, which does not become this sort of thing. Events that don't seem to make any sense at all. But the Chinese and Japanese eye has been able to look at this sort of phenomenon, which we would call nonsense phenomenon, purposeless phenomenon, in a way that begins to reveal a profounder kind of meaning in it. Take, for example, one of the greatest of the Japanese painters, the artist Sesshu, who was a Buddhist priest living between about the beginning of the 16th century. Actually, his dates are 1421 to 1506. And this is a very, very famous painting.
That was informing.
Yeah.
But as you look at it, you may be inclined to feel that it's very like the musk which I drew that eventually turned into somebody's hair. Because Sesshu did paintings of this kind very often with fistfuls of straw instead of brush. But as you look at that painting more carefully, it's done in black ink on paper, you begin to realize that this is a natural scene. That we are looking at a system of rocks, and far above them, very faintly, there is a few mountain peaks. That is called the Haboku, or rough technique landscape. And as you begin to recognize what it represents, you begin perhaps to feel that it has some meaning. And yet,
This guy's sending me to sleep, man.
why do we feel?
I could tell you.
Informing people always do.
I could tell you one thing, bro. If he was like 40 today, he would cash in on people. I can tell you that much. Like I can see it now. Like he would have a long list of people. He'd be having people speaking at all these events. He'd have book. Well, I think he does have books. He'd have everything. I can tell you that, boy, boy.
He
Uh,
still sells people today. It's crazy.
well, I think
He's selling people in the graves.
I think it's you know If you like it and it helps you, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. If you like it and it helps you, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. This guy's ENTP, guys.
Yeah.
So ENTP's guys are informing. Uh, you saw what the dense wind up that this guy's got to get to. He's got to get going to get his point across instead of just getting it out. And it's always like like it's almost so much detail behind it, right? Initiating, even though some of ENTPs can report that they are introverted, the thing about them is when they're talking, they're easily switch the subject to another thing and another thing and another thing in mid sentence, or they could a lot of times they'll be talking about one thing and then like contradict what they said and then come back over and correct it in mid fucking sentence. Um, so you'll see that play out. Process or journey focus, they are about the journey of life. I think they're one of the types that's like maybe one of the most journey focused, just like believing, trial and error on everything. Like life is trial and error. Like they, and a lot of times they're not even interested in like what PC has done that work, right? They're interested in what works for them, which can extend their journey quite a bit. But they're very big on journey. They're pragmatic, so they work on what works. They have a utilitarian mindset behind things. More rebellious, contrarians. A little bit. That's a more important thing to say is they're contrarian. Instead of like trying to buy into cooperation, affiliative, do what's right
Yeah.
type thing. They're systematic, so they focus behind the system behind things. I do think they're the least systematic NT, right? Because NE
Hmm.
anti-system. It just doesn't want to do the same thing over and over, but their brains process things from a systematic point of view. This guy is fucking super abstract. Everything is symbolism. Everything is like, intangible type stuff. That's where they can really sell you on that because you can't really disprove them. He's TIFE, right? Clearly his own framework. He does put in like, other people's frameworks here and there to build his TI stuff that he wants to get across. And he's got SINE. NE is in abundance there. So guys, we got him as an ENTP. Guys, what's up type are we thinking?
Mm, I think he's probably creative normalizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say so.
Yeah.
No, wrong bar.
Yeah. Yeah. Creative normalize sounds about
No,
right.
wrong bar, PC.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know.
See,
Just letting you know.
damn, we ain't got no cool names. We got cool things for N squared. We got fucking double D. We got C2. We got to come up with, some fucking cool names here. Um, Enneagram, what are we thinking? Seven? We're thinking seven. Ideas flowing. What are we thinking? Can't be,
Probably.
can't be
Probably
one.
seven.
Can't be two. He ain't a fucking three. He ain't a four. I mean, you might be able to slide him into five, but I don't think that
I
works.
think seven makes
Sure.
the most sense.
Yeah, I think seven makes the most sense. I think seven W6 probably makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I think he's SO2
Yeah.
slash SP.
So
Yeah,
SOSP, yeah.
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 I think,
And
yeah.
and I
Oh,
think
sorry,
in his
wrong bar
road
again.
and I think he is above average. I mean, you did see his critic come out.
Well, PC, I think. Oh, PC hasn't got it. Yeah, I would say he's above average.
Yeah.
Yeah, above average. The prodigy level. He's pretty switched on.
Yeah.
He's pretty
Yeah.
switched on.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit because I mean, the guy. This is what when this guy died.
Let me look here.
He would be a real deal problem in 2025. I tell you that much. Uh,
He
he'd be a
he
real
died in
problem.
1973. He was born in 1915.
Yeah. So I mean, he knew a
He
lot.
was ahead of the curve. He was ahead of the curve for his time, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely ahead of the curve for his time. So I'm gonna say above average, sliding in the prodigy level there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, spiritual guru. Like I said,
Yeah.
if this guy was in 2025, he'd be making boatloads of money. I mean, the barrel of cash that this guy would have would be insane. So I'm not kidding, bro. I'm not kidding. The
The
barrels of money
wheelbarrow.
you
You'd
have,
have a
bro.
wheelbarrow.
Like, if you think Tony Robbins making money, phew, sheesh.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins be making a killing. I mean, my Lord, Tony. Tony be having all them little seminars. Oh my God, my best friend went to that shit. She couldn't shut the fuck up for like a week. I was like, this INFP man and went to this Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins amazing. I'm like, oh fuck me. I got to hear about Tony Robbins for the next 6 months. Um, but yeah, he would be rolling in the cash. Shout out to Dre for this one. This is an interesting one. It's gonna be fun to get on the channel. So personality database got this one wrong. He's not an ENFP. He is a ENTP, which they usually get wrong a lot because they can't really understand TE and TI, right?
But
Okay.
not only that, they're still trying to, at best, they're typing the developed self,
Yeah,
not the core. So yeah, I mean, is it that we're going to get that wrong regardless?
yeah. Well, I think another thing about it is like they try to say TE versus TI. They don't know that TE is a person who literally goes with empirical information, so their
Mm.
knowledge is going to be a lot more centered. Like when someone is a TI user, they use their own framework, so it's not as centered. It's different. It's eccentric is what I would say. While like TE user, they're pretty much saying the same TE stuff, right? Unless they ain't read or did the same TE stuff, like they're not gonna deviate too much from that. So and if you want to see like a ENFP who jumps off the screen, go to Ty Lopez. Like every second he's like my mentor, this book, this book, and my mentor, and Jack Doe, and did you hit Mark Zuckerberg? And and the shit that he be saying be lies. It'd be fucking lies. But that's a great example of ENFP there, who uses TE quite a bit. Yeah.
Do you
Well,
know that most billionaires have kids before 25?
it's like shit that don't even make sense. Like you just know,
Stupid.
mother, like there's a way that you can gather TE information, and like highly recommend, like you pick up the book How to Lie with Statistics. It will help a lot of
Yeah.
how to lie with statistics, right? You can play around percentages and shit and numbers and make it seem like something that's fucking not. So yeah. Anything you want to say, PCs are we head out?
And not really.
All right, guys. Peace out, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Dre, again, man.